Depression and anxiety suck. Believe me, I've been in therapy for 10 years trying to keep mine under control. And the process of trying to find a therapist can add even more anxiety.
Right now, the general experience to get started with a therapist in real life is you go on your insurance, you look at the roster of therapists who take your insurance, you cold call each of those therapists to see if they're taking new clients. Most of them will not get back to you, and when they do, they won't have an appointment for at least 4 to 6 weeks. And by that time, you've given up and eaten all the ice cream, you know?
B. Arthur started The Difference with the goal of trying to change that process.
The Difference is Amazon's very first Alexa skill for therapy. We connect you with a live human therapist within 30 minutes or less via your phone or smart speaker.
Other companies like Talkspace, Happify, 7 Cups of Tea, Woebot, and others are out to make this process easier for patients as well. And there's a lot of capital to gain in this growing market. The global behavioral and mental health care software and services market size is expected to reach $4.31 billion by 2025. That could be why big tech companies like Amazon are entering the digital healthcare market. But is this digital shift good for patients? I always cherish my time at the therapist's office. I sit on the comfy couch, I clutch a pillow, and I just dish. So I was really curious to know what this new digital space would bring.
Digital mental health is kind of the natural outgrowth of something that's been going on for decades now, which is that there's a lot of research showing that therapy works, that there are ways to teach people to improve their mental health. But not everybody can make it to one-on-one therapy, not everybody can afford one-on-one therapy. Digital mental health is a way to translate what the research has found about what helps people and put it in a format where people can access it through phones, through the web, using technology.
I love the idea of digital mental health because it can meet you right where you're at. Literally when you're depressed, you're on your couch anyway. Why do I have to get dressed and go across town? Why? I'm already eating ice cream and crying. Why can't my therapy meet me here on this couch?
But as much comfort as the therapist's office gave me, it was always such a horrible process to try and find a good fit, for many reasons.
There are 3 main barriers to traditional therapy. The biggest barrier is cost, right? This is not surprising at all. The second barrier is convenience. You need to commute to a private practice. You need to leave your work in the middle of the day. Even to find a good therapist is not easy. And last but not least, stigma and shame may prevent people from seeking treatment.
A lot of therapists these days, especially in urban environments, will charge upwards of $100, $150 out of pocket. So that means that they won't even take insurance. Some will take insurance, but it's notoriously challenging to find therapists who are available to take on those patients.
That's why these digital solutions could be really beneficial. Most are cheaper than traditional therapy, and they are certainly more convenient. It's important to note that these services are not usually free. When compared to the $100 or more per session that most patients pay for in-person therapy, services like Talkspace and The Difference are the less expensive option. I tried these 3 services, The Difference, Talkspace, and Happify, and they all do very different things. The Difference is focused on helping individuals who are going through a rough patch via a phone call or audio session through Amazon Alexa. I tried out The Difference earlier in the week over by my desk. Alexa, open The Difference.
Thanks for joining The Difference. To talk to one of our therapists, please give me your 4-digit code.
1234.
Connecting you to a therapist now.
Hey, thanks for your patience. I'm Bee and I'm going to take care of you today. Tell me what's going on.
The Difference is still in beta right now, but it's going to be rolling out to all Echo devices this summer. Talkspace is one of the most recognizable companies in this space. Though it's been around since 2012, it recently grabbed people's attention with a popular advertising campaign featuring Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps.
It was October of 2014 that I lost all hope. I was one of the world's most successful athletes. 18 gold medals. The all-American dream come true.
Talkspace is focused on text and video therapy. For this system, you create an account and get assigned a therapist who you'll stick with through the 20+ week counseling program. You can choose from a text therapy plan where you can message with your therapist 5 days out of the week for $49 a week, or a video therapy plan where you can join a video session with your therapist once a week for $79 a week.
So basically, we are offering a solution to all the people that are not able to take advantage of traditional therapy.
Happify is different, as you're not connected to a therapist. Instead, you play games and learn new resilience and coping skills and review reports on your progress, all of which is based on research. The app is free, but it offers a paid premium plan.
There are ways to reliably assess a person's mental health, and technology has the sort of added benefit that you can make beautiful graphs and you can see progress over years and kind of see what that looks like and get personalized feedback about what it means to improve 5 points.
Being able to track your progress over time gives you feedback, and it makes people feel a lot more confident about their ability to maintain the intervention, to follow the skills that they may have learned. I think that's one of the real benefits of digital mental health, is that it's happening in the moment as you're living your life.
Happify was a great daily reminder to be more positive. It felt like a preventative measure to stay mentally healthy. And Talkspace was nice for getting a bit more personal, talking about my day and some of the thoughts that were going through my head. Like I said, it's really important for me to be face-to-face with my therapist. It helps me open up a little bit more, but that's not the case for everyone, and that's not necessarily what these apps are out to replace.
I think there will always be a role for the human therapist in talking one-on-one with the patient about some of the problems that they experience that may be more deep-seated and they want to see someone in person, or if it's a very serious mental health condition. There are uses and there are ways in which it makes sense, and I hope that it makes therapy cheaper and more accessible overall.
But what about privacy and security? Talking face-to-face with a therapist is very different than streaming a video call or texting over an app. In today's privacy climate, it can be really, really hard to put your faith in these programs.
The basis of healthcare, especially mental health, is trust. Patients know that they can trust things when they talk to me as a psychiatrist, when they talk to therapists. They know that there's even federal laws that guarantee their privacy and trust.
Most of the apps out there that are used by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people already do take big steps to protect user data, because with any kind of breach of people's health information, that would essentially end their business. They are in a trust business and they know that. More people have had their medical records hacked than have ever seen them. So I think we do need to be really cautious about who we entrust with our health data, because already we have a crisis in terms of privacy and security of that information.
So what are these companies doing to maintain a trustworthy system?
All of the big tech places have issues with surveillance tech. You know, you're seeing all these things with Alexa laughing and stuff like that. And so we have to kind of like keep, we do overcorrect. Like at the beginning of every call for the difference, we say this call is not being recorded for privacy assurance.
People receiving therapy with Talkspace are protected by the same level of confidentiality that they would at their doctor's office or at any health system across the country.
Amazon has tackled the privacy issue with a HIPAA compliance policy.
HIPAA, which stands for the Health Information Portability and Accountability Act, was enacted in the 90s, and it's essentially a set of federal rules that govern how we store and we share certain kinds of protected health information with certain entities. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's a catch-all for all health privacy and all health security. It's specifically about how healthcare providers, which are hospitals and clinics, share health information with their business associates, which might be a company like Amazon Alexa.
So does it work? Do these digital mental health solutions really help you? Well, I felt a difference. I mean, I'm between therapists right now because of the things that I mentioned above, cost and time and energy. So for someone who usually has face-to-face therapy, these apps were helpful. But I didn't get to dig down really deep into those issues that I usually get to go into with face-to-face therapy.
It is not going to work for all mental health conditions and for all people, and we should be aware of that. We don't have the basis of scientific evidence to support that it makes sense for many more types of therapy than one specific kind, which is called cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's a type of therapy that's specifically aimed at managing anxieties that we experience every day and coming up with a better framework around them. It's not the same thing as talk therapy that gets into the deepest, darkest kind of secrets of our childhood. And I don't know that something like that could necessarily work digitally.
What does the scientific community think of these apps?
I think if you just kind of look at the scientific published clinical research, talk to people working in the field, I think that we're excited about the potential of kind of some of these more virtual therapies, but I think that there's very little evidence done What we have seen in published research studies is very small. A lot of it's done by the company itself.
At the end of the day, it's important for you to know what forms of help work for you and what forms of help you have access to. It's all up to the individual. The important thing is to start figuring it out.
It's just about being heard, being understood, feeling supported, and feeling like it's going to get better. Like 30 minutes of that a day, or even just on bad days, needs to be a regular part of our society. Everybody would feel and function much better if they felt like they had a place where they won't be judged, they'll be supported, they'll get answers, and more importantly, get better coping skills to make better decisions.
If you're in a situation where you feel like you're going to harm yourself, please don't wait to get help. Call 1-800-273-8255 for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. They're available 24/7 to help you out.